David here with the McCown Company. The dollar per mile driver minimum. Opposition to this argument. The opposition says a mandatory dollar per mile wage floor for drivers is unrealistic and will bankrupt carriers. Here's the truth. Drivers are the only workers in America who are expected to work 70 hours a week, sleep in a truck, live on the road for weeks at a time, and still not earn a stable wage. $1 a mile is not a luxury, it's basic survival in 2025, and let's expose the lie behind their argument. Drivers' labor is not the reason carriers fail. Carriers fail because brokers skim 30 to 80% when they can, if they can get away with it, which they can. Not all of them, but most of them. Probably a lot of them, mega ones. Rates have collapsed below the cost of operation. Foreign labor loopholes undercut American workers. Turnover is 100% a year because drivers can't survive financially. Insurance is skyrocketing. Fuel is volatile. Freight is being moved at below market dump rates. The problem isn't driver pay. The problem is driver exploitation. And let's break the math down. If a driver runs 2,500 miles a week, that's a $2,500 gross wages. Not lavish, not excessive, not unreasonable. That's basic. And when you factor in 14-hour days, sleeping in a truck, being away from a family, unpaid detention, violence on docks, free labor built into the job, and working weeks that would make most Americans collapse, $1 a mile is not too much. It's the bare minimum of human decency. And here's the big one. Studies show that when drivers earn stable percentage wages, stable, predictable wages, turnover drops, safety improves, training costs plummet, freight moves more reliable, carriers retain their workforce, insurance claims go down, maintenance improves, accidents decrease. The opposition knows this. They know this fixes the entire workforce crisis. That's why they're fighting it, because that when drivers are financially stable, nobody is desperate enough to move freight below cost, and nobody is desperate enough to tolerate abuse on a dock. And nobody is desperate enough to sign into a predatory lease program. And nobody is desperate enough to accept pennies on the dollar from a mega broker. $1 per mile wage floor would instantly end driver poverty, end turnover, end exploitation, end forced unpaid labor, end predatory lease purchase schemes, end corporate manipulation of desperate workers. So when they say $1 a mile will bankrupt trucking, what they really mean is $1 a mile will bankrupt exploitation. And that is what they're really afraid of. Thanks. See you on the next one.